The wind cut through my coat like a knife that night. The road was quiet, covered in snow, and the sky hung low and gray. I was tired. The horses' hooves made slow, hollow sounds against the frozen ground. I wanted to go home, make some fire, drink something warm, and forget how empty my house had become. Then I saw her. At first, I thought it was just a shadow by the fence. But when I came closer, I saw a small body lying still in the snow. My heart stopped for a second. I jumped down. "Hey!" I shouted. "Can you hear me?" No answer. I knelt beside her. She was breathing, barely. Her hair was wet, her lips blue, her hands shaking. A girl, maybe 15. She wore no coat, just a thin dress. Her boots were torn. "Lord help me," I muttered. I lifted her in my arms. She was light, too light. "Hold on, kid." "Don't you die on me." She didn't open her eyes. She just whispered something. I leaned close. It sounded like, "Don't send me back." I didn't know what that meant, but I knew I couldn't leave her there. I laid her across the horse and rode fast through the storm. The snow hit my face hard, but I didn't slow down. My mind kept saying, "Just for tonight. You're only helping her tonight." When I reached the ranch, I pushed open the door with my shoulder and carried her inside. The fire was dead. I set her on the couch and threw wood into the stove until flames rose again. Her face looked pale in the firelight. There was a bruise on her cheek and dirt on her hands. I took off my gloves and rubbed her fingers to warm them. "Come on, kid," I whispered. "Wake up." She moved a little and groaned. I gave her a blanket, then made some warm milk. When I touched the cup to her lips, she drank weakly, eyes still closed. After a while, she opened them, wide, frightened eyes the color of morning frost. Where am I?" she whispered. "You're safe," I said softly. "At my ranch. I found you by the road." She tried to sit up, but winced in pain. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I didn't mean to." "I can leave." "No," I said. "You're not going anywhere tonight. You'll freeze to death." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Please don't send me back." I frowned. "Back where?" She looked away. "The workhouse." I froze. I had heard about those places. Kids working day and night for scraps. I felt anger rise inside me. "Nobody's sending you back," I said firmly. She looked at me like she didn't believe it. "You don't know them," she said. "They'll come." "They always come." I shook my head. "You rest now. We'll talk later." She nodded, then curled up under the blanket. I sat in the chair across from her, watching the fire dance on the walls. For a long time, the only sound was the wind outside and her quiet breathing. I leaned back and rubbed my eyes. My mind drifted where I didn't want it to go, to Clara, my wife. She'd been gone 5 years. She wanted children so bad. I wanted to give her that. But life had other plans. I looked at the girl again. She looked too small for all that pain in her face. I said softly, "You got a name, kid?" Her eyes fluttered open. "Lila," she whispered. "Lila," I repeated. "I'm Ethan." She smiled weakly, just for a second, then drifted back to sleep. The firelight made her face soft again, like a child's should be. I pulled my coat tighter and stared at the ceiling. I told myself again, "Just for tonight." "She'll leave tomorrow. You'll go back to your quiet, empty life." But deep down, I already knew that was a lie. The wind howled louder. I walked to the window. The ranch looked cold and lonely. Everything I'd built here, the barn, the fences, the land, it all meant nothing without someone to share it with. I turned back to Lila. She was shivering, even under the blanket. I threw another log into the fire and sat beside her again. "You're safe," I whispered. "I promise." Her lips moved, and I thought I heard her say, "Thank you." The words hit me harder than I expected. It had been a long time since anyone had said that to me. When the morning light was soft through the window, I heard the kettle hiss. Lila was awake. She moved slowly, still weak, but her eyes were brighter. "Good morning," I said. She smiled a little. "Morning, sir." That word again, sir. It hit me harder than I wanted to admit. "You don't have to call me that," I told her. She blinked. "Then, what should I call you?" I hesitated. "Just Ethan is fine." "All right, Ethan," she said softly. The way she said my name sounded strange, like she was testing it. I poured her tea and handed it over. "Drink this. You need strength." She took the cup carefully, hands trembling. "Thank you for letting me stay." "You were freezing," I replied. "I couldn't leave you there." She nodded but stayed quiet. I could see questions behind her eyes, where she was, who I was, why I cared. After breakfast, she tried to stand. I can help, she said. I can clean or cook, I stopped her. No need, you rest. She shook her head. I don't like doing nothing. Something about that made my chest ache. You're safe here. That's enough for now. She looked around my small cabin. Did you build this place yourself? Yes, I said. Long ago. With someone? Your wife? I froze. The word tasted like dust. She's gone now. I'm sorry, she whispered. It was years ago, I lied. It still felt like yesterday. Later that day, I went outside to feed the horses. The wind was cold and dry. I heard Lila humming inside, a small, broken tune. It reminded me of Clara. She used to hum while cooking. Same soft voice, same piece. I leaned on the fence, staring at the hills. You're haunting me again, I muttered. The land felt heavy, like her memory was still here, in every board, every nail, every breath I took. I walked back inside. Lila was cleaning the old table with a wet cloth. I told you to rest, I said. She smiled. I feel better. My hands need work. You really don't stop, do you? She laughed lightly. Work keeps me from thinking too much. That line cut through me. What do you mean? She looked down. At the place I worked. If we stopped, we got hit. I clenched my jaw. That's not work. That's cruelty. She nodded, eyes wet. I don't like to remember it. You don't have to, I said. Not here. When the evening came, we sat by the fire. The light flickered on her face. She was young, too young for the pain in her eyes. Were you always alone? She asked quietly. I stared into the flames. Since my wife died. No children? I shook my head. Couldn't have any. She said nothing for a moment. Then softly, I think God sent me here for a reason. I looked up. Why do you say that? Because I was praying for someone to find me, she said. And you came. My throat tightened. I didn't do much. You did, she said. You stopped. That word, stopped, echoed in my mind. I had been moving through life like a ghost, just working, sleeping, breathing. Maybe I had stopped feeling, stopped caring. Until her that night, I couldn't sleep. I walked outside. The sky was full of stars, cold and bright. Clara used to say stars were souls that found peace. Are you watching me, Clara? I whispered. Would you forgive me for this? I thought about how I brought Lila here, how the town might see it. A middle-aged man and a teenage girl alone. People love to judge what they don't understand. I heard a sound behind me. The door creaked. Lila stood there, wrapped in a blanket. Couldn't sleep either, I asked. She shook her head. The silence feels strange. You'll get used to it, I said. It's safer than noise. She stepped beside me. Was your wife kind? She was light, I said. Warm, patient, strong. I wasn't good enough for her. Why would you say that? Because she wanted a family, I said. I couldn't give her one. She looked at me, eyes soft. You saved me. Isn't that something a father would do? Her words hit like thunder. I turned away. I'm not your father. I know, she said. But you feel like one. For a moment I couldn't breathe. The stars blurred. When dawn came, she made breakfast. Eggs, bread, and weak coffee. You didn't have to, I said. I wanted to thank you, she replied. You gave me a home. Don't call it that yet, I said. You'll leave when you're ready. She tilted her head. Do you want me? The morning sun was pale, weak, like it didn't want to shine on me. I saddled my horse, planning to ride into town for supplies. Lila stood by the porch, holding her shawl tight. Do you really have to go? She asked softly. I need feed and flour, I said. You'll be fine here. She nodded, but her eyes followed me like a shadow. I tried to smile. Lock the door, all right? Yes, sir, she said. Her voice trembled. I didn't know why. When I reached town, I felt it before I heard it. Silence. Folks who once waved now turned away. Mrs. Carter from the store kept her eyes low. A man near the post office whispered something to his friend, and they both looked at me. I went inside the store. The air felt heavy. Morning, Ethan, Mrs. Carter said, not meeting my eyes. Morning, I replied. I need flour, coffee, and salt. She nodded, still quiet. Then she said, How's the girl? I froze. She's fine, I said slowly. Why? Mrs. Carter hesitated. People talk, Ethan. You know how they are. Talk about what? I asked, though I already felt it coming. That she's not your kin, she said. A young girl living with a man alone. It doesn't look right to folks. I clenched my jaw. She was dying in the snow. What should I have done? Left her there? I didn't say that, she whispered. But people are wondering. Sheriff Dalton's been asking questions. I stared at her, then at the counter. You can tell him to come see me. She handed me the bag of flour. Her hands shook. He probably will. By the time I got home, my heart felt like stone. Lila ran out to meet me. You're pale, she said. What happened? Nothing, I muttered, brushing past her. Did I do something wrong? She asked. I turned, my voice rough. No, Lila, you didn't. Her face fell. Then why are you angry? I'm not angry, I lied. I'm tired. She looked down. People don't like me, do they? I didn't answer. She didn't need one. That evening, the sound of boots came up the porch. Sheriff Dalton. He tipped his hat when I opened the door. Evening, Ethan. Evening, Sheriff, I said flatly. Come in. He stepped inside, eyes scanning the small living room. Heard you got company out here. A girl. She's upstairs, I said. Resting. How old is she? He asked. 15. Dalton nodded slowly. That's young. Folks are worried. About what? I asked. You know how it looks, he said. A grown man and a teenage girl living alone. I took a step closer. I found her half dead in the snow. She had no one. I couldn't just leave her. Dalton met my eyes. I believe you, Ethan, but not everyone will. Let them talk, I said sharply. I've done nothing wrong, he sighed. Sometimes that don't matter. You know how this town is. I leaned against the wall, tired of fighting ghosts. So what do you want me to do, Sheriff? Send her back to that man who beat her? Dalton looked down. No, I just want you careful. I nodded. I always am. He turned to leave but stopped at the door. You got a good heart, Ethan. Just make sure it doesn't ruin you. Then he walked out. Later that night, I sat by the fire, staring at the flames. Lila came downstairs quietly. Was that the sheriff? She asked. Yes, I said. He wanted to talk about me? Yes, her lips trembled. What did he say? That people don't understand. She looked away, tears in her eyes. They think bad things, don't they? Maybe, I said softly. But they're wrong. She pressed her hand to her chest. I should go. I don't want you to get in trouble because of me. My heart twisted.
And where would you go, Lila?
Back to that hellhole? She shook her head. Anywhere. I can work, clean, do anything. I stood up and took a deep breath. Listen to me. You're not leaving. But no, my voice cracked. You have nowhere to go, and neither do I. She froze, staring at me. For a moment, silence filled the room. Only the crackle of the fire spoke. I sat down again. This ranch, it was quiet for too long. Since Clara died, it's been just me and the wind. When you came, I thought maybe God was giving me one last chance to do something right. Lila wiped her tears. You already did. You saved me. I looked at her, my throat tight. Then maybe saving you is saving me, too. She smiled faintly, though her eyes still shimmered. You're not like them, Ethan, I know that. I nodded. Then don't let them tell you otherwise. She sat beside me near the fire. I'll stay, she whispered. Good, I said, almost smiling. Tomorrow we'll ride into town together. Let them see. Her eyes widened. You don't care what they say. I care, I said, but not enough to lose what's right. Outside, the wind howled across the fields. I watched the flames dance in her eyes, small and brave. Ethan, she said after. The storm came fast that night. Wind howled like a wounded animal. Snow hit the windows hard and the ranch shook. I checked the doors twice, then looked at Lila's room. Her light was still on. Lila? I called. No answer. I pushed the door open. She sat by the small fire, pale and trembling. Sweat covered her face, though the room was cold. I don't feel good, she whispered. I went to her side. Her skin burned like fire. You're sick, I said. I'm fine, she tried to smile, but her lips shook. Just tired. I touched her forehead again. It scared me, the heat. You've got a fever, I said softly. Lie down. I'll get water. When I came back with a damp cloth, she was shivering under the blanket. I placed the cloth on her head. She opened her eyes weakly. It's too cold, she murmured. I'll fix the fire. I threw more wood in. Sparks jumped. You'll be all right, she tried to laugh. You always say that. I always mean it, I said. Outside, thunder cracked. The old house groaned. I sat by her bed, listening to her shallow breath. I hadn't prayed in years, not since Clara died. But now I closed my eyes. God, I said under my breath, not her. Not this one too. The wind hit harder. The lantern flickered. I reached for her hand. It was small and hot. Ethan? Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm here. Don't leave me, she said, her eyes half closed. I won't. She tried to smile, then drifted into sleep. Hours passed. I kept changing the cloth, feeding the fire, whispering her name. Every time she stirred, I said, I'm here. I didn't know if she heard me. Once she mumbled something, words I could barely catch. Mama, please, I froze. Her face looked so young, so lost. It hit me how small she really was. A child who had seen too much pain. Rest, I whispered. You're safe now. Lightning lit up the room for a second. I saw the scar on her arm, the one she never talked about. My chest tightened. I wanted to take every hurt she'd ever felt and burn it away, but I couldn't. All I could do was sit there holding her hand, waiting. Sometime past midnight, the storm grew worse. The roof rattled. I checked the window. Snow piled high against it. We were trapped. Ethan, she muttered again, her voice dry. Yes, Lila. Did you ever love someone? The question caught me. I looked at her flushed face. Yes, I said after a pause. Her name was Clara. What happened? She died, I whispered. Long time ago. I'm sorry. Don't be. I tried to smile. She'd have liked you. Lila's lips curved faintly. You think so? I know so. For a moment, her eyes stayed open, watching the fire dance on the walls. You're kind, Ethan, she said softly. Even when you're sad. I didn't answer. The truth was I wasn't kind, just lonely. When she coughed again, I wiped her mouth. She whispered something I couldn't hear, then said, You don't sleep? Not tonight, I said. You'll get sick. I've been sick before, I replied. She smiled weakly. You talk like an old man. I am an old man. You're strong, she said. Stronger than you think. Her words hit deep. I wanted to tell her she was the strong one. But before I could, she closed her eyes again. The storm screamed outside. Inside, I fought my own storm. The fear of losing her, the memories of the woman I couldn't save. When the clock struck 3, I started talking. Maybe to her, maybe to myself. I was married once, I said quietly. We wanted children. Never could. I thought it broke me. Maybe it did. But when I found you that night by the road... Her eyelids fluttered. I wasn't sure if she was awake. I felt something again, I continued. A reason to breathe. The firelight flickered. I was fixing the fence when I heard the sound of boots on gravel. The sound felt heavy, like trouble walking toward me. I turned and saw a tall man in a dark coat. His eyes were sharp, and his face carried that kind of pride that came with cruelty. Morning, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. He didn't smile. You're Ethan Cole, right? I am, I said. What brings you here? He looked past me toward the house. I'm looking for a girl. About 15. Auburn hair, thin. Name's Lila. I froze for a second. My hands clenched the fence post. Why? She ran away, he said. She was working for me. Didn't finish her time. That makes her a thief. I stepped closer. A thief? She took food. Stole my wife's shawl. His eyes narrowed. She belongs to me until she pays her debt. I felt my stomach twist. Nobody belongs to you, I said. He smiled. A cruel, slow smile. You think you can talk like that to me, Rancher? The law's on my side. I can take her back. Before I could answer, the door creaked. Lila stood there pale as snow. Her hands trembled. Jonas, she whispered. He took a step toward her. There you are, he said softly. You cost me money, girl. You think you can just run? She hid behind me, clutching my coat. I could feel her shaking. Don't let him take me, she whispered. I looked down at her. He won't, Jonas laughed. You think you can stop me? I have the sheriff's ear. You're just a lonely man with no family. What's she to you anyway? I took a deep breath. My voice came out low. She's under my care now. He spat on the ground. Your care? You think people won't talk? A man like you, living with a young girl? His words hit me hard, but I stood firm. Let them talk, I said. I don't answer to them. He stepped closer, his boots crunching in the dirt. If you don't hand her over, I'll come back with papers. And the law will take her, and maybe you too. Lila's grip on my coat tightened. Please, she whispered again. Don't let him take me. I turned to Jonas. You listen to me, I said quietly. You'll stay off my land. You'll leave her be, he grinned. And if I don't? I reached for the shovel, leaning against the fence. My voice dropped. Then I'll make you. His grin faded. For a moment, we just stood there, the wind pushing dust between us. He finally said, "You'll regret this, Cole." "Maybe," I said. "But not today." He looked at Lila again, and for a moment his face softened. Then it hardened again. "You'll come crawling back, girl." Men like him always want something in return. Lila flinched, hiding her face against my arm. I stepped forward until I was only a foot away from him. "She's not yours anymore," I said. My voice was steady, but my chest burned. "You lost that right the moment you hurt her." Jonas stared at me for a long time. Then he spat again and turned around. His boots crunched away, slower now. When he disappeared down the dirt road, I let out the breath I'd been holding. My hands were shaking. Lila stayed quiet. Her head rested against my arm. "He'll come back," she said softly. "I know," I said. "But he won't touch you again." She looked up at me, eyes red. "You shouldn't fight him." "He's dangerous. I've faced worse," I said. "And I'm tired of running from ghosts." We walked back toward the house. The wind picked up, cold and sharp. Inside, she sat at the table, staring at her hands. "He used to say I was nothing," she whispered. "That no one would ever help me. That I didn't matter." I poured her some water. "He was wrong," I said. "You matter." She looked up, her eyes glistening. "Why are you helping me?" I sat down across from her. "Because once someone helped me too," I said. "And I didn't deserve it either." She nodded slowly. "Your wife?" I froze for a second, then nodded. "Yeah, Clara. She must have loved you a lot." "She did," I said. "And I failed her." She shook her head. "No, you didn't fail her, you just lost her." Her words hit something deep inside me. For a long time I didn't speak. Then I said, "You should rest. He won't come tonight." But even as I said it, I knew I was lying. That night, I sat by the window, rifle across my knees. The wind howled outside. Every sound felt like footsteps. Every creak sounded like danger coming closer. I thought about Jonas's words. Men like him. The wind screamed that night. I woke to the sound of horses crying. For a second, I thought I was dreaming. Then I saw the orange light outside my window. Fire. I ran out barefoot, heart pounding like a hammer. The barn was burning. Flames reached high, eating the roof. Smoke stung my eyes. I yelled, "Lila! Where are you?" No answer. Only the sound of cracking wood. I grabbed a bucket, threw water, but it was useless. The fire was too strong. Sparks flew into the sky like angry stars. Then I saw her, Leela, running from the house in her nightgown. "Ethan!" she shouted. "The horses. They're trapped." "Stay back!" I yelled. "It's too dangerous." But she ran toward the barn anyway. I caught her arm. "Don't. You'll die in there." Tears streamed down her face. "They'll die if we don't help." For a moment, I saw Clara's eyes in hers. Brave, stubborn, full of fire. I let go. "Fine, but we stay together." We pulled our shirts over our mouths and ran inside. The smoke was thick. I could barely see. The horses kicked and cried, trapped in their stalls. "Easy, boy," I said, coughing hard. "We'll get you out." Lila opened the gate while I untied the ropes. Flames crawled up the wooden beams. The heat burned my skin. I felt dizzy but kept going. "Move." I shouted to the horses, "Go!" One ran out, then another. But one stayed, shaking in fear. Lila stepped closer.
"He's scared, Ethan."
I grabbed her shoulder. "Lila, get out now! No!" she said, voice trembling. "Not without him." A loud crash, and part of the roof fell. I pushed her aside just in time. Fire rained down like red snow. I pulled my coat over her head. "Go!" I screamed, but she refused to move. She wrapped her arms around the horse's neck, whispering, "It's okay. You're safe." Something broke inside me. I couldn't leave her there. I wrapped my arm around her waist and dragged her toward the door. She fought me, crying, "I can walk."
"Then run!"
I shouted. We stumbled out into the cold night. Behind us, the barn collapsed in flames. The horses ran free, their hooves thundering in the dark. Lila fell to her knees, gasping. I dropped beside her, coughing hard. "You're crazy," I said, half laughing, half crying. "You could have died." She looked at me, face black with soot, eyes bright with tears. "So could you." I shook my head. "I had to." "Why?" she whispered. "Because I can't lose anyone again," I said. My voice broke. "Not again." For a moment, everything went silent except the fire. Then Lila said softly, "I thought God sent you to save me." I looked at her. This girl I barely knew a year ago. Now the only reason my heart still beat. Maybe he did, I said. She smiled weakly, then swayed. Ethan, I can't breathe. I caught her before she fell. Lila, stay with me. Her skin was cold, her lips pale. I carried her to the porch, laid her on the ground. Snow started to fall, melting on her cheeks. Don't close your eyes, I said, shaking her gently. Please, she whispered. You saved me. No, I said, voice cracking. You saved me. Her eyes fluttered, then closed. I pressed my ear to her chest. Faint heartbeat. She was alive, barely. I wrapped her in a blanket, held her close. The fire's glow flickered across her face. My ranch, my life's work, was gone. But as I looked at her breathing in my arms, I realized something I hadn't felt in years. Peace, I whispered. It's over. But deep inside, I knew it wasn't, because what burned tonight wasn't just wood and hay. It was the past. And from the ashes, something new was being born. Maybe this was God's way of giving me another chance. Maybe this was our storm, and somehow we both survived it. The flames died down slowly. The snow kept falling. I looked at the rising smoke and whispered, "Thank you." Then I carried Lila inside, sat beside the fire that still burned safely in the hearth. Her head rested on my arm. For the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. If you were in my place that night, would you risk your life for someone who gave you hope again? The courtroom smelled of dust and fear. I sat alone on the wooden bench, my hat in my hands. Every whisper around me felt like a knife. She took advantage of him. No, he took her in for the wrong reason. A man like him shouldn't raise a girl like that. Their voices filled my head. I wanted to stand, to shout, but I stayed still. My heart beat slow, heavy, like hooves on dry ground. Sheriff Dalton walked in, his boots loud on the floor. "Ethan Cole," he said, "you're not on trial today, but people want answers." I looked at him. "So do I said. He sat across from me, arms crossed. "You hid Lila from her employer. You fought a man in town. You burned your own barn in the process." "I didn't burn it," I said softly. "Jonas did. You saw the tracks yourself." He sighed. "I did. Jonas Burke's in a cell now. But the town's divided. Some say you're a hero. Some say you're something else." I smiled bitterly. "A fool, maybe." He didn't answer. From the back, Martha Green's voice rose. "He saved that girl's life, Sheriff." "You all know what Jonas did to her. You all turned your faces when she begged for help." The room went quiet. I saw Lila sitting small, hands folded in her lap. She looked at me once, her eyes full of worry and trust. Dalton cleared his throat. "No one's questioning your heart, Ethan, but people wonder, why? Why risk your name, your land, your peace, for someone you just met?" I looked down at my hands. They were rough, burned, scarred from years of work. "Because I know what it means to be left behind," I said. He frowned. "Explain." "When my wife died," I began, "everyone brought food, flowers, words. Then they left. The house was quiet. The ranch was cold. I woke up one morning and realized no one was coming back. That's what it means to be left behind." Dalton stared. No one spoke. Even the dust in the sunlight seemed to stop moving. I saw that same look in Lila's eyes. I continued. "She had no one. No family, no home, just fear. I couldn't turn away." "Not again," Lila whispered. "He never asked for anything. He just gave." The sheriff looked at her. "You're sure he never hurt you, Lila?" Her voice trembled, but she stood tall. "He saved me. He gave me food, a bed, hope. When I was sick, he prayed for me. When I cried, he said, 'You're safe now.' He didn't save me because he needed to. He did it because he couldn't walk away." I wanted to tell her to stop, that it wasn't worth it, but she kept going. "I worked for a man who hit me," she said. "Jonas called me a thief, said I owed him money. He made me scrub floors till my hands bled. I ran. If Ethan hadn't found me that night in the snow, I'd be dead." Gasps filled the room. The sheriff's eyes softened. Dalton spoke quietly. "The court will note her statement. Jonas will face charges for child abuse and illegal labor." He paused, then looked straight at me. "But Ethan, you still broke the law by hiding her?" I nodded. "I know. Do you regret it?" I met his gaze. Not for a second. A long silence filled the room. Someone whispered, "He's a good man." Another said, "Maybe we judged too soon." The sheriff leaned back in his chair. You understand you could lose your property, maybe more? I smiled sadly. A house means nothing if it's empty. Dalton rubbed his chin. You're a stubborn man, Cole. Maybe, I said. But if caring for someone is a crime, I'll take the sentence. He sighed, stood, and faced the crowd. Jonas Burke is guilty. Ethan Cole acted in protection of a minor. Case dismissed. The gavel hit the table. It sounded like thunder after rain. Lila ran to me. She didn't speak, just hugged me tight. The morning sun touched the burned wood of my barn. Smoke smell still lived in the air. I stood with a shovel in my hand, moving ashes slowly. Every sound echoed, soft, lonely, tired. The fire had taken almost everything. But it left something too. Peace, maybe. I bent down to clear a broken beam. Beneath it, an old metal box caught my eye. It was half buried in ash. My heart jumped. I knew that box. Clara's box. The one she kept near the hayloft. I whispered, Lord, what are you showing me now? I wiped the dirt away and opened it. Inside were letters, yellow, fragile, tied with a white ribbon. Her handwriting looked just the same. My hands shook as I lifted the first letter. Ethan, it began. If love finds you again, let it stay. Don't shut the door, I froze. My throat closed. Clara's voice came back in my head, soft and warm like summer rain. Clara, I whispered, you always knew me too well. The door creaked open. Lila stepped in quietly. Her hair shone like copper under the sun. She wore my old coat, still too big for her. What's that? She asked, walking closer. I cleared my throat. Old letters. My wife wrote them. Before she passed, Lila knelt beside me. You never told me much about her. I couldn't, I said. It hurt too much. She looked at the letters, then at me. Do you want to read one together? I nodded. My fingers trembled as I opened the next letter. I read slowly. Ethan, if the ranch feels empty, it's only waiting for new laughter. Don't live like a ghost. I stopped. The words hit deep. I had lived like that, like a man half dead, walking the same fields, feeding the same horses, waiting for time to end. Lila touched my arm. She sounds kind. She was, I said. She wanted children. But I couldn't give her that. Lila looked down. Maybe you gave her love instead, I sighed. Love was never enough for her. Not then. She loved you anyway, Lila said softly. You can feel it in her words. I stared at the letter again. My eyes blurred. If love finds you again, let it stay, I read aloud. Silence filled the barn. Only the wind spoke. Lila wiped her cheek. Then maybe she sent me. Her voice broke something inside me, and healed something too. I looked at her, really looked. The girl I'd rescued wasn't just a stranger anymore. She was part of the life Clara wanted for me, full, kind, alive. I whispered, maybe she did. Lila smiled through tears. Then she gave both of us a gift. I placed the letter in her hands. You keep this one, I said. You'll take better care of it. She shook her head. No, it's yours. It's ours, I said. Clara wanted me to live again. You made me do that. Her lips trembled. You saved me first, Ethan. I chuckled softly. Guess we saved each other. We sat there for a while, surrounded by ashes and light. I felt Clara's presence, not like a ghost, but like a blessing. Lila said, Do you think she'd be proud of you? I smiled faintly. I think she'd be proud of us both. She nodded. Then maybe the fire wasn't the end. Maybe it was a start. Her words felt true. I looked outside. The sky was wide and blue again. The ranch, though scarred, still stood. Life always finds a way to begin again. We spent the afternoon rebuilding small things. The fence, the trough, the feed box. The morning sun touched the fields, soft and gold. I stood by the fence, watching the horses move slow through the mist. My hands felt heavy, like they carried every goodbye I'd ever said. Behind me, I heard her voice. Ethan, she said, gentle but firm. I turned. Lila stood by the porch wearing a light blue dress. The same color Clara used to wear. Her hair was longer now, her eyes older. Calm, clear, sure. You're leaving today, I said. She nodded. The train leaves in 2 hours. I looked down at my boots. You packed? Yes, she said. Martha helped me last night. There was a pause. Wind brushed through the grass. I could hear the soft sound of the windmill turning. I can still help you stay, I said quietly. The ranch needs you, she smiled a little. The ranch has you. Her words hit deeper than I expected. I wanted to argue, to tell her how much I needed her here, how quiet the house would be without her laughter. But instead I just said, You sure about this? She came closer, her eyes full of light. I've never been more sure. I want to be a nurse, Ethan. I want to help girls like me. I owe you that. You owe me nothing, I said. She looked down. You gave me life. Not blood, love. Her voice cracked a little. I felt something inside me shift. The air around us seemed to hold its breath. I didn't save you, Lila, I said. You saved me. You gave me a reason to live again. She stepped closer. Then maybe we saved each other. I smiled, but it hurt. Maybe. She reached out and touched my arm. Do you remember the night you found me? I do, I said. Snow everywhere. You were freezing. You didn't even know my name, she said, laughing softly. But you gave me your coat. I laughed too, but my chest ached. I couldn't leave you there. Her smile faded. You never did. The silence between us stretched. Only the sound of birds filled the space. I'm proud of you, I said, more than I can say. Her eyes shone. I'll make you proud, Ethan. You already did, I whispered. She turned to the horizon where the sun broke through the clouds. Do you ever think about what's next? Every day, I said. But I don't know anymore. You'll keep the ranch, she said, and maybe take on someone new. A boy or girl who needs a place. I'm no hero, I said. You're more than that, she replied. You're home. Her words broke something open inside me. For years I'd lived half alive, hiding behind fences, behind work, behind ghosts. And somehow, this girl I once found in the snow had given me my heart back. Promise me something, I said. Anything. Don't forget where you came from. She smiled softly. I could never forget. We started walking toward the train station. The sound of gravel under our boots echoed like time itself. I carried her bag, though it wasn't heavy. What was heavy was the thought of letting her go. Ethan, she said quietly, will you be okay? I've learned how to be, I said. She nodded. You always were. We reached the wooden platform. The steam from the train clouded the sky, curling around us like a memory. She turned to me. I wish I could take you with me. You already have, I said, touching my chest. Right here, her lips trembled. You'll write to me? Every month, I said. And you better write back. She laughed, wiping her tears. Deal, the conductor called. All aboard! I looked at her. Really looked. The girl who had become my reason, my light, my second chance. You're ready, I said. I am, she whispered. She hugged me, her arms tight around my chest. I held her like the last warmth before winter. Her hair smelled like lilacs and rain. When she pulled away, she said, Thank you. For everything. I swallowed hard. Go make the world better, Lila. She climbed the steps of the train. For a moment, she stood by the door, looking back. I raised my hand. She did too. The whistle blew. The train moved slow, then faster. I watched until the wind moved softly over the hills when I saw her again. The ranch looked almost the same. Old fences, golden grass, the smell of hay. But something in the air felt new. My heart beat faster as I stood by the porch, watching the road curve through the fields. A carriage stopped near the gate. The door opened and she stepped down. My hands shook a little. I knew that face, those blue eyes, that quiet grace. But she wasn't a girl anymore. She smiled. It's been a long time, Ethan. I swallowed hard. It has. Her voice carried calm strength, steady and sure. You didn't think I'd forget this place, did you? I shook my head. No, I just didn't think I'd see you again. She walked closer, her boots brushing the dust. I had to come home. The word home hit something deep inside me. For years I told myself I was fine alone. I had my land, my animals, my silence. But when I saw her now, I realized how empty that silence had been. I heard you became a nurse, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She nodded. I did. I wanted to help others. Like you helped me, I smiled weakly. Guess it runs in the family, huh? She laughed softly. You're not my blood, Ethan, but you are my home. Her words made my eyes sting. You've grown, I whispered. You've done everything I hoped you would. I had someone who believed in me, she said, looking straight at me. I turned my gaze toward the mountains. You did it all yourself, Lila. I just gave you a place to start. She stepped closer, and for a moment I could smell her hair, wild, sweet, like the earth after rain. You gave me more than that, she said. You gave me life. I didn't know what to say. For years, guilt had followed me like a shadow. I thought of Clara, of all the days I prayed for a child and never got one. Yet somehow, God had sent this broken girl into my storm. I kept the letters, I murmured. The ones Clara wrote. Lila smiled softly. I know. You showed me one before I left. I nodded. She said, if love finds you again, let it stay. I think I finally understand her now. Lila's eyes glistened. You think she'd be proud? I think she'd thank you, I said. A long silence settled between us. Only the wind moved, lifting her auburn hair. I felt time slow down, as if the ranch itself wanted to listen. I built a small clinic in town, she said suddenly. People come from far places. I treat them for free when I can. My heart warmed. That's good. The world needs people like you. She looked at me, a faint smile on her lips. The world needs people like you too. You saved me once. I shook my head. No, you saved me, Lila. You brought life back to this dead land, and to me. She reached out her hand. Then we saved each other. I took her hand slowly, afraid the moment would vanish if I moved too fast. Her fingers were warm, steady. The sky began to turn gold as the sun lowered. The horses grazed nearby. Everything felt calm, peaceful, like the ranch had taken a deep breath. Stay for supper, I said. She smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. Inside the house, the table looked small. Just 2 plates, 2 cups. I hadn't used the second set in years. She set the bread down and I poured coffee. It feels strange, she said. Sitting here again after all these years. Strange good or strange bad? I asked. She laughed lightly. Strange, like I never really left. We talked for hours about her work, the people she helped, the lives she touched. I listened, proud but quiet, afraid I might break the moment with too many words. When the night came, the fire crackled in the hearth. Lila looked around the room. You kept it all the same. I tried, I said. Didn't want to lose what mattered. She reached for an old photograph on the mantel. Clara's picture, smiling in her white dress. She looks kind. She was, I said softly. She wanted this place to feel alive.